Hi, I'm Helen Wang from Ra School of Business. This is a joint work with Professor Junli and Andrew Wu. So I bet a lot of you have teaching experience. And now imagine yourself in the front of a classroom that looks like this. It's the very end of your class and you only have time for one question, but there are like 10 hands raised. So now you have a very hard decision to make, which student to pick. And once you pick someone, all the other students will lose the chance to speak up in this class. It sounds kind of sad, but education literature has been showing that female learners or girls are left behind in the classroom in a lot of ways. And one of them is that they speak up less, they catch less attention of the instructor, and thereby they get left behind in academic performance. The good news is that in recent years, the evolvement of education technology has been changing the game and bringing new opportunities to disadvantaged students. MOOC platforms such as Coursera, edX, and Future Learn has been improving the visibility of students' questions and thoughts. On Coursera, the interaction among teaching staff and students is achieved through this discussion forum. Students could just create posts about their questions and comments, and there are a bunch of moderators who are either hired or volunteered. Their job is to respond to students' posts, answer their questions, and make their study experience as smooth as they can. However, even though the visibility of students' thoughts is improved, equal treatment of each individual learner on the platform is still not guaranteed. As shown in the red circle, the number of posts on the forum is really huge because there is a large user base, but there are only like 7 moderators here. Their capacity is far from sufficient to meet everyone's need. So again, they are facing the same critical question, which student to pick. That leads us to our fundamental question that the gender disparity which widely exists in traditional education, does that also exist in the online setting? Specifically, in the discussion forum, does the female and male learner have the equal chance of receiving response from the teaching staff? Our quick answer is no. Female learners are still less likely to receive response. We investigate 2 possible mechanisms that the gender disparity could be caused by either decision heuristics based on non-gender characteristics, or there could actually be some intrinsic gender-specific bias. Our evidence supports the second one, that there is a gender-based preference among the teaching staff that is favoring the male learners' posts. We show that receiving response in the forum does influence the learner's performance by a significant and sizable amount. And finally, we discuss how to make the platform better to mitigate the gender disparity. We acquire our data from Coursera, and it covers 174 courses ranging for 6 years. The discussion forum data is text-based, and one example is shown as here. The red is the post, and the blue are the responses received. We also have rich characteristics of the learner and the teaching staff, as well as the clickstream data of learners' activity on the platform. It is a really comprehensive but huge data set. So our empirical method is as the following. We regress whether the post receive a response from teaching staff in a specific time period on the gender indicator of the post creator. We control for staff capacity and a lot of post, learner, and forum characteristics, which I'm not going to detail because of time limit. And we also control for forum and time fixed effects. Overall, what we see is that female learners' posts are less likely to receive staff response. If we look at those statistics, female and male learners' posts are almost equally likely to receive response from peer learners. However, female learners' posts are much less likely to receive staff response. Our regression results justify that observation. Holding all the others constant, a female learner's post will be 3.11 percentage points less likely to receive staff response, and that accounts for 15.2% of the female group average probability. You may just question that, okay, this may not be gender, right? This could be just some non-gender characteristics that happen to be correlated with gender that is making this gender-based difference. That is a good guess. And if we look at these four random topics, four random posts, they are very different. Some are long, some are short. They're using different tones, and they're talking about different stuff. But the good news about studying online education is that all these texts are observable. We can just quantify those and create measures of linguistic and style speeches. But that is similarly not possible if we study in classroom interaction because they are just oral. So we use natural language processing to classify the posts into four topics. We also create measures using back of the words method of the complexity and sentiment of those posts. We do make some interesting observations here. So female learners' posts are slightly longer and more complex, and they convey stronger sentiments. Controlling for all those style and linguistic features, our disparity of gender is still there. We also consider another source of non-gender characteristics, which is the learner's reputation. On Coursera, if you put your little mouse on some learner's name, it will show up their total number of posts created and number of likes received. We control for those real-time reputation indicators, and our gender disparity is still there. It seems that all those observable non-gender characteristics in the forum does not account for the full picture. That leads us to our second mechanism, that there does exist some preferential treatment based on the gender itself. Interestingly, what we observe is that female teaching staff are very gender neutral. They have almost the same likelihood of responding to female and male learners. But the male learners are much more likely to respond to male learners' posts rather than the female learners. That is called gender homophily, which is basically saying that people tend to associate more with similar individuals. Here, male to male, female to female to female. And our observation corresponds to the literature saying that in various settings, male tend to display a stronger tendency of gender homophily. So now we have a disparity and we kind of know what may have caused that. We want to go one step further and ask why is this important? By running this regression we regress the whether the learner passed the course within a time window on whether they receive any peer or staff response. The response obviously is endogenous, so we use the instrument variable, which is the fraction of comparable posts responded by staff and peer learners. And we show that receiving forum response have a significant and sizable impact on learners' passing rate. If we look at the first week time window, similarly receiving one staff response will improve the female learners' passing rate by 18 percentage points. And that number for male learners is 11 percentage points. And that effect is especially large at the beginning stage of learning, here the first 3 weeks. And we do see that female learners tend to benefit more from receiving staff response. Our paper called for better platform design to achieve better inclusivity. Of course, course provider could do something. They could hire more female staff because they appear to be more gender neutral. They can also provide better DEI training. But what is more convenient is that the MOOC platform makes some slight operational twists to improve the inclusivity. For example, they could just degender the display names, and that will reduce the chance of gender-based preferential treatment. A better reputation system could also help, that could better indicate the post quality, and a recommendation algorithm that highlights those unanswered posts could also be implemented. We have done a back-of-envelope computation that in 2021, if we manage to improve the female learners' chance of receiving staff response to the exact same level of that of male learners, then in that 1 year, we will have 374,000 more female learners passing their course on Coursera. So that's what I just said. A small, slightly operational twist on the platform will make a huge difference in the real world. And that's all I have. Thank you for listening. You are more than welcome to share your comments and feedbacks to this email address.